What's up, everybody? We are here. Welcome back. Big Brother is done, but we are not done.
We are not done.
The house, the people that we could not interview that were inside the house are now outside the house, and they have been gracious enough to come on our show. We are lucky enough to have Austin here to talk to.
Or is it Judas?
Is it Judas or Austin? Who's over there? Is the hat on?
I'm looking for the hat. It might be. I think I have to auction it off for my brother's college fund.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just Austin today.
I don't see a ponytail beard either, Austin. I heard you had that cut off, huh?
It was cut off. It was live at the rap party.
Just want to throw this out there. I caught it on my iPhone. Okay, and it has 37,000 views.
Whoa, that's the most views of any ponytail beard. I can say
you have the most popular ponytail beard on YouTube on record.
I never thought I'd make it here.
Well, welcome, Austin. Thanks for coming on.
Okay, yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I have the first question, and so this is actually true. So Austin, there's actually it's documented. There's footage of you and I doing an AfterBuzz together, talking about Big Brother. So, how did you get cast to the show? Are you in fact a true super fan? I would say yes, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah, I am. What happened was that AfterBuzz actually is related to wrestling too. They do wrestling wrap-up shows, and I had just come back to LA because of injury, and I was rehabbing out here, and I went to do like the AfterBuzz for WWE, and then I was like, "Hey, is that Big Brother? You guys have a Big Brother one?" They're like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Can I do it?" And they're like, "Yeah, why not?" And I was like, "Oh, I was so excited because I've been a fan of the show every year, and I was watching it really close in 15." So it was really cool. And then I came for the finale one, and you were there, and Alyssa was there, and I was like, "Oh man." And then I kind of dropped off of that for about a year and was just focused on my rehab and stuff and like wrapping up my contracts. But I was able to find a way to send in a bio of me to Big Brother producers. They got their hands on it. They liked what I wrote, and they brought me in for the typical interviews. And then I went through the whole process. So I had to sell myself. I was able to get into the right hands. I didn't just shoot off a random video, but it helped to do that. But then after that, I still had to sell myself. And they, for some reason, they liked what they saw.
I would understand that from a casting perspective. I think you are very much like an ace in the hole when it comes to casting. I'm curious, what types of things were you sort of like, because you know how it works with reality TV. It's like, you got to be yourself, but you got to be yourself like times a million. What angles were you taking in that casting process?
I was really being myself, and like wrestling had taught me how to sit in a room with an audience and get them to be interested in what you're saying, and also how to say it articulately and in a way that people will like grasp onto and like, okay, I'm interested in this. And I have an interesting background being like a medieval historian and having this whole like, you know, I was writing from romance literature and stuff, and like I look like this big tough guy, and then my wrestling name is Judas, and it's like a real interesting dynamic. And they're like, oh, I wonder how this would play in the house. So it's like, I think they wanted to see, okay, everyone's going to look at this guy, 6'5", all these tattoos, but then when he opens his mouth, he's a completely different person. How is that going to interact with the rest of the house? So I think that was something that I sold them on right away, and I just stuck with that as something that there was more layers to me, that I wasn't one-dimensional. And then I felt like this cast was very layered anyway. Like it wasn't a one-dimensional cast. Everyone seemed to have a lot of layers to them. So I think I kind of fit in because of that. And it was going to be interesting to see how someone like me would play the game or be perceived in the game.
It's like a 6'5" layer cake.
Yeah,
really. That's what we're looking at here.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's a really good, like, I think that as far as like casting is concerned, that's a casting dream, really, is what that is. I'm sure they're pretty stoked.
And you know, casting loved him, but then in the house, Liz was a big fan of him as well. I think our viewers watching, Austin, I know they want to know an update on how you and Liz are doing.
Well, yeah, because everyone wants to know, you know, what's real, what's not. You know, things are edited. People say stuff.
Dirt.
The dirt is she's coming out here in a couple weeks or a week and a half to you know, see me, to start establishing her own career. Julia's coming too. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna do stuff. Hopefully, I get her to move out here. But we're still together, and there's a lot of things that you have to confront once you're outside of the contained utopia. Yeah. If you want to call it a utopia, but we're handling we're handling it together. So and it's going so far. We're stronger than ever.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and you've come a long way calling it a utopia after some of the things that happened inside the house. But was that part of your...
outside's been tough too.
So then your perspective has changed. Insides look better than potentially.
Yeah, get me back in there.
When can I apply to go back in?
Yeah.
Is that
Austin's at the front door.
Yeah.
Of the CBS
back in. Robin Cass. You know it's good for you.
Was that part of your strategy to try to develop a Showmance, or was it just Liz? Is kind of why that happened.
No, it was really just Liz. Like, that was not a part of my plan. But when I got in there, I definitely felt that we had a connection right off the bat as friends, and I was not really thinking it was going to go past that until like week 4, and then week 5 it started to really kind of switch, and then by week 6, 7, we were in a different level with it, and it was just something. Once I committed to it, I think you kind of reach a point where there's no turning back, and I was like, okay, this is something I'm just going to go with, even if it kind of risks my game, which. Ironically, it actually helped my game, I think, because
like a ton.
Right. It's really weird because you never expect a Showmance to do that. But I was like, I'd love to say it was some master strategy, but I was just kind of following my heart, as I always do in life, and it gets me in trouble usually. But somehow I didn't get in too much trouble, and I ended up getting pretty far with her. And so I think that was crazy.
Yeah. Great. What is that like, just trying to develop a relationship inside the house for people that have not been inside that house? What is that like?
Well, it's interesting because, like, if you start seeing someone, you see them once a week, you text them during the day maybe, but like you don't see them 24 hours a day. Married couples don't spend this much time together. So the fact that we were spending so much time together and we were not getting sick of each other, we were actually every day growing and growing together and learning more about each other. And sometimes we just sit there and laugh with each other and didn't have to say anything. And the connection just kept growing. And there is a heightened intensity to all emotions in there. And the reality of the world outside kind of shuts away once you're in there. And it's a really weird thing to describe, but we kind of just held onto each other through a lot of the insecurity of it. And I couldn't have done it without her, and she's told me she couldn't have done it without me. So it made the whole experience a lot more tolerable.
I totally understand what you're saying. It's like basically going.
Well, you had a Showmance all season.
That I didn't even know about or wasn't even in control of. I was like, me on the outside of the house. Yeah.
I think she's in a relationship with my hat inside the house. I think that's who she's dating now.
Do I count as a part of the chapstick? Is that technically me? I totally know what you mean, though, about like what the house does is it blocks out all distractions. And so you essentially become like Amish, right? There's like no use of electricity outside of obviously like the things inside the house. But what that does is it makes you hyper-focus on everything that people are telling you. So when someone's talking to you, the amount of attention and focus that you're giving them and how much you learn from them, and how much you really congeal is at such a higher rate. And like you explained it perfectly, like, you may spend a couple hours a week, but in that house it's condensed time, right? So it's like around the clock. And
I'll take it a step further and say, in the real world, you have cell phones, you have internet, TV, you have all these distractions, and it ruins relationships. We had to develop a real relationship based on each other. And there's this game that we're also playing and trying to stab each other in the back for, but we're not going to do that. It's very convoluted when you add that element, but when you shut that away, it was like, wow, we're actually connecting in a human level that you don't get to do in the real world. This is a special time. That's why I wanted to grab hold of it and just take it as far as I could, because I knew that you're never going to get a chance like this again.
So in many ways, it's actually kind of like more of a solid relationship because it wasn't built on distractions that could potentially like not add to the relationship. So I agree with that.
That's how I feel about it, and I feel like she feels the same way. So
I'm sure she does.
Now, what has life been for you outside the house now with the Big Brother fans? And then have you gone back and watched any of season 17? What's that experience?
Well, people tell me about it. People have sent me clips, links, things that, they want to like dig me at, like, hey, look what happened here. Look what this person said. And it's like, I don't want to watch it yet. I'm still processing everything. There's a lot of, media stuff. It's only been like a week, a little over a week that I've been out. I've been trying to get my own life in order. Liz is obviously in Miami, and we've been trying to communicate through all this too, as we see, how we were perceived, how, some people want to, a lot of people want to attack us. It's not really a lot actually on Twitter. It's just like a handful of people that really kind of are vocal. I found I have a lot of supporters too, which I really appreciate. So it's been kind of crazy trying to reestablish a routine and trying to meet with people and, see where I'm going to go from here. So I'm hoping that I have some opportunities, especially in wrestling, because I want to get back into that. I kind of had my career cut short before Big Brother. So I'm looking at that, and right now it's been good. It's been nice. It'd be nicer if she was out here with me so we could actually have some time alone, because we really only got a day. So we'll see.
Well, let me follow up on that, Austin.
Yeah.
How were you thinking you would be perceived after the show was done, and then how do you feel like you're being perceived right now?
Well, I wasn't sure, and that's the thing. In the house, I always watched the seasons. I always felt like I had a grasp on it. And then I realized, oh yeah, when you're in the house, you don't get to see what's going on in every room. So you don't get to see what's going on in the diary room, what the edits are. So I wasn't positive. A lot of people in the house were thinking things were going one way. First it was like, Clay and Shelly, oh, they must have been America's sweethearts, and James got rid of them, so he must be hated. But no, James seems to be really liked, so he's probably liked. That means, wait, we're going after James. Are we liked or hated? Oh, wait a minute, we're kind of winning every week. We're probably like a New York Yankees, where people are probably starting to get pissed and they want the underdogs. So I wasn't too sure at all. I was hoping that people would see like my humor and my sarcasm, which I try to bring to everything I do, and be entertained on the feeds. But I think I kind of pissed some people off. They felt I was cocky, and a lot of my jokes kind of go over people's heads, I guess, because I kind of do it so dryly. But I don't know. I'm hoping that people, afterwards kind of see it was a game. A lot of things that are said in there are desperation pleas sometimes, and you're saying anything and everything to anyone to save yourself, because you have to. And I was playing a game. I was trying to be entertaining and trying to have fun.
I think you said it best. It is a game at the end of the day. And speaking of it being a game, when you were playing, and you played hard. You like really dove deep into it. No one would ever consider you a floater. Would you, when it came down to it, and there was a lot of focus like on the cut show, and so as a viewer, I can only tell you what I saw.
Sure.
Would you truly have, when it came down to it, between Vanessa and Liz? What was your thinking for how you were going to navigate those waters? Because
that's a great,
as a viewer, we even saw you and Vanessa arguing in front of Jeff, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" The game continues, and so
I know.
How did you? What was your plan? What was your strategy to get around that?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't sure. Every week, it got I couldn't believe I was staying. I couldn't believe Liz and I and Julia and Vanessa were all still in the game. And I was like, wow, we're just going deeper and deeper and deeper. And all these things that you don't think you're ever going to confront are about to happen. I might be in the final 3 or 4 with these people. What do? I have loyalties to everyone. And obviously my main loyalty was personal to Liz. And that was something that was not going to break for anyone. But I was, Vanessa's good. She was good. And she was convincing me of things basically she convinced me that my best case scenario to win the game was to let her and Liz battle it out to take me to the final 2. And I was starting to believe that. But then I started to see things happening where she was talking to Johnny Mac a lot. She was talking to Steve a lot. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that she's trying. And then that veto thing with Julia really sold it to me that, man, Vanessa's going to try to axe me at some point. I know it. And I thought I got her back on my side when she did axe me, and I was wrong. She was good. Yeah. So honestly, I was going to probably try to compete my hardest and take Liz. That was what I would really have done. And just the way she started to change, her demeanor just changed a little bit. And I could see she was just too focused on her. She stopped socially interacting with me the way she used to. And I saw a clear cut difference in it. And I knew something was up. But then those last couple of days before I got eliminated, she was acting very happy and nice to me. So I thought it was totally safe. That's what caught me so off guard. She really got me good.
Yeah. And we,
so, I
would
have taken Liz.
You would have taken Liz. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the show. You were in probably the best position down the stretch with 5 or 6 house guests left, and then it seemed like Vanessa won that veto, sent you out of the house. Have you been able to come to grips with that? Because you seem completely blindsided on the broadcast. Are you still angry at Vanessa? What are your thoughts toward her or anyone else in the house? Have you been able to say, it's a game and I'm just going to leave it in the house?
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not upset at all. I remember talking the next day to Jeff when I did my interview, and I was like, Jeff, does it get better? Because the first day it felt like the worst feeling in the world. And I couldn't believe she did it to me. And I'm thinking, my God, I thought, how did she play me like that? I was just thinking this made no sense. She didn't need to do it. She didn't need to do it. And it was so frustrating. He said, by the time you cast your vote with the key, you're gonna be over it, man. And I was. By the time we got to the finale show and I put that key in the box, I was fine with everyone. I wanted to be friends with everyone. Even Jason, who I was worried was not going to like me, we saw each other at the rap party, and right away we made up and man, let's just be friends. It's all, we shared this together. There's no reason for us not to be friends. So I know Vanessa might be upset with some of the things I said in the finale, to Dr. Will, that talking to her was like chewing nails, I had said. So it wasn't the nicest thing to say to her. I apologize to her. I hope she believes it. But you got to remember something. You had just blindsided me, and I was sad. You hurt, you know? So, and the game is not over when you're in the jury house. You can still kind of, you know, prove yourself in there by, you know, all three of those people in the finals could have made great arguments to win it, I thought. Yeah. So, like, I'm going to make an argument for my girl, and then I'm like, try to make the second argument for Steve. But if it was down to Steve and Vanessa, I might have voted for Vanessa.
Yeah. So this is my last gameplay question for you.
Yeah.
It seemed like all season long, as the viewer, everybody was sideline cheering for somebody to buck up and just put Vanessa on the block and just do the deed. But no one really seemed to do it. The only person that even attempted was Becky. So where were you in that mix? Did you ever see this as like, you know, she's doing a phenomenal job. At some point, I'm going to have to swing the axe. Did that ever come through your head?
Well, after the Audrey fiasco, when Shelly put up and sent home Audrey, I realized that someone like Vanessa, you know, is a great shield. Someone else needs to do it, not me, because it was almost like a waste because she wasn't going after me yet. I knew once we got down to final 4 or 5, she could flip and do that. But like when people brought up their arguments to me why she should go, I knew it wasn't time for me to do it to her yet because she wasn't necessarily coming after me just yet. Now, she was really good. When I was HOH for the second time, I couldn't have eliminated her if I wanted to because she won the veto that week. It was also before the jury had returned, and she was going to win that jury return comp. So those 4 weeks of the first jurors, it didn't matter because she would have come back in the house. So she has like a hindsight immunity for 4 weeks, and then she wins the HOH again, then she wins the veto again. She just won, so you couldn't get rid of her. So there was really nothing you could do. The only time we could have got rid of her was double eviction when we got rid of James. And that is what I tell everyone is my big regret. But we didn't have time to think. James did come up to me that week and go, Austin, let's make a final 2. And Meg wanted him to do that. I've talked to her since the show. She's like, you should have gone up to Austin and made some kind of deal because then in that kind of crazy situation, I would have stopped the girls from doing that. We probably would have sent home Johnny Mac. You know, if we had a week, maybe Vanessa would have been put up. But in that quick moment, we were just going to do what we thought was the big move because he was going after Clay and Shelly. He made that big move. He was going to go after us. So, but that was our 1 week to get her out. Just like my 1 week to get Steve out was when I was HOH and sent Johnny Mac out and he came right back. And we could have got Steve out. So like we had a lot of power. We could have changed things a lot of ways, but I'm fine with how it worked out. Obviously, I wish, you know, the veto went differently in my week going home, but you know, Liz got to the finals. One of the Oz twins made it to the finals. I think that's amazing that we were able to do that.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the jury house as well, Austin, and we obviously see the Big Brother house a ton. We don't see the jury house as much. What is that experience like? Is it a bunch of bitter people just going around being passive aggressive with each other by the pool, or what? What's the environment there?
There's a lot of movie watching, and everyone's just kind of having fun. I was only there for 24 hours before we did the round table, and then we have to be individually sequestered so no one can talk about votes because this is a serious process. So I was only there for a small amount of time. But it felt good to be around everyone because after that, going through that, I'm missing Liz. I don't know what she's thinking. She's still in the house. I feel like, you know, I feel terrible that I just got eliminated, but I'm able to talk to people, see how they're feeling. And everyone was really supportive of me when I came in and said that they were hoping that I would get to the finals and they were sad to see me come in. And right away, I knew I'd be friends with all those people. So it was a cool experience. I wish I could have been in there a little longer and we didn't have to go get locked away. But I enjoyed it. It was a nice decompression moment. So by the time I did get to finale, I had that inside of me, and you know, it was good. So, and a lot of those people are going to be my friends.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now, just for the finale, I was going to ask about Steve. Do you think Steve is a worthy winner of the show, or somebody like Vanessa, or even, I mean, you obviously, I'm sure Liz would be your vote for that. Was there some element that you were a little bit disappointed by Steve's victory, or do you think that Steve earned it? Steve's a worthy Big Brother champion.
I think that he's definitely worthy of Big Brother champion for sure, you know, and he had to go through a lot that whole season, and he was targeted week 1 too. He was always the scapegoat target, even though he was never going to be used. And you know, I think he didn't do a lot the first half of the game. He might say he did more. I didn't feel like he did. If he did, I missed it. But I think, and then he kind of attached to that Scamper Squad alliance a little closer than he ever really was a part of it. I actually started getting really close to him during the game. So if that was strategy on his part, he did well because I really liked him. But when it came to the final, I really think that, you know, Liz could have made some, if she had more time, if she knew she was in the finals and she thought about it better, she could have made some different arguments that I think could have won some people over. But ultimately, he just eliminated Vanessa, and in everyone's mind, that was the big move. And oh my God, it was no. I don't think it mattered what anyone said after that. everyone was just blown away, and the key was going in for Steve. Yeah. So there was nothing I think she could have done at that point, because everyone's minds were just blank, going, "Oh my God, Vanessa's got eliminated."
Yeah,
so it was novelty.
That was going to be my follow-up, Austin, to that, because for Liz, it almost seemed like she didn't necessarily think she'd be in the final two. Her arguments, I thought, weren't as compelling. She seemed like she kind of left a lot on the table in terms of what her arguments that she could have made to win the show. Have you talked to her since then? I mean, were you surprised watching that sitting there, that she wasn't coming a little bit harder with some of her arguments as to why she should win?
I think she was blown away that she was there, because, Vanessa and Steve had told her all week that they were taking each other, and she was so shocked by the moment. And it's such a powerful moment that you're sitting there, you can't believe what's going on. So I don't think she was definitely not prepared for it. But I think she was a worthy, competitor, and deserved, a little more recognition. And, because people were saying that, she rode my coattails, that I was the one talking for her, that I did the strategy. And that's not true. Like, people don't realize this, but like every decision I made, I would talk to her about, and I would say, okay, what do you feel? What's in your gut? And we would make it together. And people say, well, you got rid of all the people that were going after Vanessa. And I was like, well, we were in an alliance together. So if they were going after Vanessa, they were going after us. And when she got rid of Becky, I asked her, is this what you want? She said, yes, I think she's the strongest female competitor in the house. She's got her team she keeps telling us about, which is not us. I want to get rid of her. I'm like, okay, then we'll do it. So it was always a joint effort on our part down the stretch. Once we became the Uhas twins, like we were always working together on everything. And I think she deserves as much credit on that as I got from them.
Yes, yeah. I would say, that in the game of Big Brother, when you have that checks and balances, I mean, you'll go almost crazy trying to figure stuff out for yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you have a counter opinion, or one or two, or now, three, the Uhas twins, I think that really helps.
Yeah.
And so this is my last question for you. What is next for Austin?
I like that dramatic pause.
Yeah, that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good.
Well, let's see. I'm going to talk to some wrestling producers pretty soon. I know that there's I know that Lucha Underground is a company out here in Los Angeles that I'd love to get involved with, and I think they have some similar producers to Big Brother. So, I just spent 90 days, selling my soul for Big Brother. It's brutal. Throw me a bone. Maybe I could work for them. So we'll see. I'm going to go talk to some people, see what's available in that regard. And then obviously I have my fitness business online that I'm really passionate about, that I want to keep moving forward with. So, and that's called Pilates for athletes. So, hopefully I can start moving on into the realm of some online coaching with that. My buddy John Morrison from Out of Your Mind Fitness, we're going to collaborate on a diet book. So there's a lot of things that I'm working on in some different branches. Entertainment wise, I don't know. If things come my way, I always look at it. I enjoy it. I enjoyed the experience. And, I like entertaining people and performing, whether you love me or hate me.
That's awesome. Yeah. Where can people find you, Austin?
They can find me on Twitter at Judas Draven, Draven. That's the same on Instagram. And on Snapchat, it's Judas Devlin, which was my WWE name. So that's there. And my website, Athletes, ATHILATES.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Austin, you were fun to watch this season, man. Thanks for being really entertaining inside the house, and thanks for coming on with us here outside the house.
Thank you. And I live in LA too, so maybe we'll get some wrestling going or something.
Backyard wrestling.
Shirtless
on the street.
Yeah.
Backyard wrestling.
Yeah, bring it to the streets.
I want to watch that.
Yeah,
that sounds entertaining.
Viral video all over. Yeah. That's what that says.
Oh, absolutely.
Austin, thanks, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
If you like this video, click here to subscribe. New videos every week.